Right guys, so today another episode of DIY or Die. We are going to be fixing this old server power supply. There's nothing wrong with it, but the fan in here, I believe it's the fan. I mean, there's nothing else in here that could be doing that. But the fan, the bearings in this are shot, or they just need to be lubed up. We're going to try to just grease her up and get things to be quiet again, because this thing makes a hell of a racket when it's running. So, quickly show you how to do that here. This is off of a IBM System X3550, I believe. It's one of the dual power supplies. It's running right now fine because, you know, redundant power supplies. But, yeah, I'll slide her back in after we get her going here. So, let's take this thing apart. Here we go. Alrighty, so it's apart now. There's the fan. We gotta be careful not to touch anything we shouldn't touch, because this was just in the server. Like, it's still, it's still got some heat to it. So yeah, I mean, there's obviously sheathing here for safety reasons, but this looks like it's gonna be actually quite a pain to get this fan out. There is no mounts on this side, as you can see, but on this side, right there, there's 1, 2, and you can't see down, way down in there. But, can I get it? Maybe you can see it. It's right there-ish for you guys. But there's 4 screws in there, so we're going to have to slide this PCB out right here. And, yeah, we'll go from there, I suppose. This will be a pain. Put these 2 screws on the end here. There we go. Now the top lifts pretty free. And now, looks like this tape's gonna have to come off. Come on now. Gently does it. Perfect. There you have it. Inside now. So, over here, right there, if you can see that, it's behind that red wire. There, you can catch it. I gotta get that screw right there. And I don't know. Oh, and there's one right there too. So, pretty simple really to move the PCB. And I should have got a longer screwdriver, but that's fine. You know, now I notice this fan is loose as it is. I don't know what else is hanging on to it here, because this fan mount, as you can see, is that. It's mounted to the side of the case, and appears to be on this side too. So I'm wondering. Okay. I'm wondering what else is hanging on here. I don't know, but something's still hanging on, so Move these wires out of the way here. Perfect. Oh. Shaker, shake it, come on. Oh, perfect. We didn't have to do that extra work. But fan's definitely a little bit goobly, as you can see. It's got a bit of schmuck on it. I'm not really entirely sure what this brown thing is here, but we'll unplug the fan here. I'll zoom out for you guys. Unplug the fan. This wire right here. This is nice, very nice wire actually. I mean, it's not heavy, heavy gauge copper or anything going in here, but it's nice and thick insulation on here. Heat resistant. But there we go. Just terminated at this plug at the end here. And now we have ourselves the fan. So I should just take this off, just because. Should I? I'm not even. I don't think we should. It's not going to affect anything here. I'll just leave it on. It's pointless to take stuff off you don't really need to have off. Quite a powerful fan, though. Focus. As you can see, it's what, 0.8 amps on there, 12 volt. No RPM, but this little guy will be screaming, trust me. So, air nozzle time, I suppose. I'll go get that and we'll be back. Here we go. There we go, we got the leaky bad air nozzle, but hopefully you can hear me. One thing to note, you want to be pretty careful with these when you're blowing out these fans, especially with like highly compressed air like this, like 130 pounds, because you can really easily overspin these fans, and wearing safety glasses like I am, you can lose an eye or whatever when these explode from the centrifugal force, so just keep an eye out for that. But I'll quickly spin this thing up here and you'll see that the bearing still sounds like it's bad. So. It sounds it's an Definitely got some noise to it. So I propose just try to lube it up, really. I mean, I don't feel like looking for some eccentric fan here. This isn't really an eccentric fan, to be honest, but yeah, I don't feel like searching around on the internet for it. So what you can do is this can come off. I'll zoom in so you can see me easier here. And just take this off and you should have access to the back here, and there's a little, ooh. Come on, focus now. There we go. There's a snap ring right there. You can take that out and then the whole assembly should come out. I don't have snap ring pliers, so this will be fun to get this off. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Oh well, I'll figure something out when I get back. Here we go. So first things first, what we're going to try before we muck around with all that stupid little snap ring in there, we're just going to take some motor oil. This is literally just shell Rotella. I think I got it in a little fitting hand sanitizer sprayer actually, but just put a little daub on right in the center here. Just getting it on in there. There we go. And because it's not a perfect seal, it's not like a, you know, dry, or sorry, a wet pump housing or something with a good seal on it. It should seep through. I'll get the excess off here. Doesn't seem to be getting really with the penetration, wicking, and all that crap I wanted to get. So we are gonna have to take the snap ring off. So because I don't have snap ring pliers for frickin' server fans, tiny damn things, I'm going to attempt, notice my wording there, attempt to take this off with a couple of finely nosed, needle nosed pliers, God, I can't even speak, man. Some fine tipped Phillips screwdrivers. That's more like it. Unless this just pushes out. Not looking like it. Gotta be careful not to dent, as I've already slightly have the outside of the bearing, but this will be a tricky one. You see that, guys? Ooh, it's so hard to see. That, my friends, is success. Albeit a little bit bent. I did have to bend it. I did get it out. So, and this suffered a bit of a dent, but the ball bearings aren't interfering, so that doesn't really matter. So now, with the push of our fingers, there's our shaft of the fan. And here's our other bearing on the inside of the motor there. And I'll let these soak with motor oil. We're talking soak, baby. Soak. And I can actually, this one on the back side, we should be able to take this one out. Focus, Jesus, camera. There we go. This guy we should be able to take out just by inserting a screwdriver like this. I'll add some more lube to these, and we shall be back. Here we go. So here we go. We got the one guy out. They do pull out. So it looks like the way that works is, it's actually kind of an interesting design. They have a brass collar. This little cup right here is where this bearing sits, and then inside that is like on the underneath that is a coil, which is clearly a spring, which allows the bearing. I can't push it hard enough, but it allows that to ride up and down on there. Back is just sits back there here, so let's pull this puppy out. And then, come on. Okay, it's almost out, and with a good jab. There we go. So, these, I think what I'm going to do are soak these in first some rubbing alcohol to clean out any schmutz in there, and then let them dry, and then we're going to soak them in oil. And then obviously dry off the outside, and then we'll go from there. So I'll be back once these puppies are soaked for, I don't know, half an hour-ish. And yeah, here we go. Alrighty guys, so here we go. There they are here. They were soaking in there for, I don't know, not quite half an hour, probably 10 minutes maybe, something. Should be good enough, I'd think. There's the spring that actually does come out of the fan right in here. It goes in there, the bottom. And then of course we got this little guy which we need to bend back slightly, but other than that, should be a pretty simple install. So first we're going to have to drain this excess oil back into a container. Perfect. So, zoom on in here. First things first, you got to get the spring back in here. That's, well, actually we should first check. Make sure there's no stickies, no metal shards, nothing in here. It's going to affect the performance and fitment of these bearings. It looks basically clean to me. So throw this guy in here like that. As you can see, fits in there, and then it's really quite simple. All we got to do is gently insert one of these bearings. Just like that. There we go. Give it a few dabs. And same thing on the front here. You just want to take it and there we go. And then just plunk it in. Get her with the big end of this, and there we go, she's in. Get the flathead now, push it flush, there we go. We got a nice grease, oil soaked bearings. So now let's wipe off this excess oil. There we go. Take the fan, nothing on the fan. Looks pretty good to me, very clean now. And just put it in, well, the way it goes in. So you just kind of line up the hole with the shaft, and there you have it. Now this guy, I can already tell, needs to go in more. This shaft has to be recessed. It's got a little dimple in it, and this bearing has to be below that so we can fit. Where did it go? I reckon it'll be in here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. So we can fit the snap ring in here. Snap ring needs to be fixed, so I'll get the old vise out here. Tiny little vise. I'll zoom out. Okay, and it's just got to be bent back in the right direction. That slot's not quite big enough. And we can zoom in here for you guys. Just at the end there, right there. Quite hard to hold, but we can get it. Doesn't have to be perfect. We did damage this thing, but as long as it holds, right? That's what counts. Okay, and it's a little bit off horizontally, so let's squeeze her that way pretty good here. There we go. And okay, it's slightly magnetized, that's fine. Well, we essentially have our snap ring there again. Perfect. So, bringing it back over this way. Again, the hardest part of all this is getting that snap ring back to where it needs to be. So, here we go. again, using the old double Phillips screwdriver method. This will be quite tricky here. There's nothing to do. Mandy's already making a bit now. But the hard part is not pushing the shaft out. We're going to try something different here. I'm going to need something on this side of the fan to stop that from coming out. Okay, so here we go here. Let's try this one more time. Man, these things are really attracting each other. There we go. We got her. Focus, focus. There we go. Right there. She's in. Hopefully these bearings were just kind of a little bit dry in terms of lubrication and not actually just really literally worn down and screwed, because if that's the case, then this basically was pointless. But hey, we got to see the inside of a server power supply, but I'm thinking this will help with the noise at least. I actually didn't record the noise before, but essentially it sounded like a very faint, almost like a piece of paper was hitting the blade of this fan. So it could have been a bit of dust, but it was too erratic. I believe it was the bearing here. So we shall see. I'm sorry that I missed out on that audio opportunity there to, record it, but let's give it an old spin down test with the ear rape air compressor here. It didn't spin as long. Now that is actually a good sign. That means that these bearings were dried out and they would there's less actual, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to people that don't really muck around with bearings a whole bunch. But if you actually have a grease packed bearing or a oil lubricated bearing, those will spin less long than a dry bearing, because the just rotational resistance by itself is actually higher with a high viscosity fluid or oil, like as seen in this case right here, an oil. So because it spins less, that's telling us that this bearing was indeed dried out, and at least from what I could hear there, it wasn't making the bad kind of almost like thumping noise. I don't know if you guys can hear it. I don't have any external mics on this camera, so I don't know how good it is, but I can definitely tell the difference. So I think that's good news here. Let's do we need that now? Well, I'll see if I can find that sticker. I can try to stick it on here. There we go, delta fan right in the center, kind of. Yeah, I'll tell you right now, it's not going to work. But tell you what, I'll get a piece of tape and that'll keep the dust out of the back here. Smooth that out. Use the old flathead to get rid of those bubbles. It actually shows you how uneven this plastic housing is for this fan, but there we go. We got a bit of tape on there. That should at least hold up for a while. Yeah. I'm not hearing anything now, so let's get things back together here. So first things first, we gotta kerplunk the fan back in this spot here, and coinciding with that, this hole, these two holes align with this hole here and this hole here on the case. Now their orientation is like this. You can also tell because, well, if you think about it, the airflow, rotation this way, airflow is obviously out the back of the fan here, which is going to be exhausted out here, which I know it does. Plus, the connector will be on the top. So, insert it like this. Sorry, the connector would be on the side, my bad. But insert it like that. I can zoom in a bit here. Here we go. And look at that, lines right up at the holes. Basically, as you can see, there we go. So now we got to tuck these two wires back underneath this heatsink here. First things first, I should actually, here we go. Just quickly screw these things in because it's easier to do this. It's easier to get this in position without having to muck around with these wires. So now don't tighten them all the way, keep them loose. Whenever there's something like this, you always want to keep things loose as you can. Okay, this is covered with rubbing alcohol, but that's fine. There we go. Now we can tuck things underneath here, clean things up. So, this one go first here. Actually, no, this guy looks like it goes first. Doesn't really matter, but here we go. This is kind of tricky to get, but well, that's good enough, whatever. And then, of course, at the end here, this is the fan, and the connector is that guy right there. Plug her in, and she should be good there. There we go. Make sure all your cables are down and not on the edge sticking out. As you can see, everything's flush. That should be that. Make sure nothing's out of place here. No chokes are hitting anything. No wires have come undone. Now, before we forget, we need to put back the screws that we took out needlessly on the PSP. There we go. We got all 3 screws back in. She's not wiggling around. Let's take the camera out a bit more. Get the vise out of the way here. Best as I can do, at least. Okay. So now, it's just a simple matter, really, of putting the tape back on, protective tape. If it even sticks, yeah, I figured it wouldn't. No, does it stick? No. Now we could scotch tape it, but I'm just gonna, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. And now, let's get all the screws that we've scattered all over the desk and put this stupid case back on. Here we go. So first things first, orientate it right. Got a spot for the fan there because it's literally like the width of this entire power supply. And things, as you can see, go on the inside of the case. So you fit it like this and you can probably should be able to just slide it in here. Yeah, see? Slides that way. All the holes line up. There we go. And now it's just screw, screw, screw. So I'll get this guy together here and we'll be back. Here we go. So, it looks to me like we got all the screw holes. And, I mean, to be honest, even if you missed 1 or 2, it's not going to make a world of difference. But, that's that. These things really aren't death traps like people make them out to be. Oh, you get like the news articles. I've actually seen a couple where people die from working on these. But, I mean, really, even if you have the most simple tools and the most basic knowledge of electronics, you should fully understand the consequences of touching a 240 volt capacitor or whatever. Couple tips. Don't work on these when they're plugged in. Another one is basically with any decent and modern power supply, one should have ratings on them, so they should be actually officially approved by, depends on your location, but see there's ROHS, whatever, Let's see, what else does this say here? Made in China. Yeah, these are all approvals here. But this is an approved, yeah, this is an approved power supply, so don't get a janky one. Good product power supplies, or good company power supplies, good brands should be made properly. So the big capacitors will have bleed down resistors in them a lot of the time, especially the high voltage ones. And if they don't, the circuit itself naturally bleeds down over time. If you really aren't sure, just take a screwdriver or anything, short it out. Worst case, you'll blow the leg right off the capacitor, but nothing a little bit of solder can't fix. This is a beefy power supply. Anyways, look at this thing. It does, on the 12-volt rail there, 50 some amps. That's quite a bit of power. And we got 2 of these, but yeah, oh, we're missing, this guy's loose here. There we go. We forgot to tighten up these 2 here. That's better. So now, let's go down to the basement here and let's chunk this guy into the server and see how she sounds. Here we go. So we're down here in the old server closet here. Lighting is probably abysmal, but as you can see, but so here's the back of the server there. There's the one. There's the other. And before, oh, this is gonna be a tight squeeze here. Come on, come on. There we go. Beforehand, when I would plug this in, it would just whine like right away, because these fans, regardless of whether or not they're actually the power supply is being used, it would go to an idle state and it would sit there at its idle RPMs. But come on, can I sneak it in? Perfect, there we go. So plug her in and hope for the best here. Look at that. I can't even hear anything. Let's go up front here, pull this guy back. Oh, it's heavy. And let's get rid of the... Oh no, there's no error code. I'm surprised. Usually there's an error code on there for the power supply. That probably went away, but... Here's the one. I'm making sure this is plugged in because I personally didn't believe it would be that quiet. So the bearing was definitely completely dried out. As you can see, power supply was on there and complete success. So that, my friends, is how you fix and quiet your noisy server power supply fan. Really, any power supply fan. Actually, just in general, computer fans. If you got a noisy computer fan, try this technique, and hey, if you got some luck and a little bit of grease, it'll probably turn out like this and you'll have a nice quiet fan again. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Here we go.